Since you have been asked about the Bismillah, I would like to know that when the Imam is reciting or leading the prayer bil jahr, so he does not say Bismillah, and since it is a part of every surah, why we do not recite Bismillah bil jahr?
This is a practice which has come down to us through generations. That which is obvious and understood, sometimes it is said quietly, taken for granted. So that is in fact, it's not a disrespect to Bismillah. In fact, it's a way of respect to Bismillah. That is of course it is for granted. This is there. But some people do say it, recite Bismillah with loudly. For instance, Shafis, they believe in reciting Bismillah loudly, and they do, and there is no objection. Either way, it's okay. Please. Kalam Sahib wanted to say something?
After the
if there is an after.
A question about these muqatta'at in the Holy Quran. These, the way they were revealed, sir, I mean, they have, Alif Lam Ra. This is what we mean by Alif Lam Mim. These were, how were they interpreted and translated later on? These short words which Allah Ta'ala has used from time to time. In Surah Qaf, Qaf means Qadir, Allah Ta'ala is Qadir, you know. And would you kindly explain how these came up? And
you better read Tafsir Kabir. You know, in the first very opening chapter of Surah Baqarah, there is one Muqatta'at, one part of Muqatta'at called Alif Lam Mim. So on that, Hazrat Muslim Maud has written a very satisfying article, very detailed article, and it would take quite some time to explain all that. So you better read that. Right?
Is there any special significance in the spring season during the earlier part or throughout the history of Ahmadiyyat? Even in our lifetime, we've seen many manifest signs of Allah happening in the spring season. And Hazrat Masih Maud also has said, "Phir bahar aayi,
खुदा की बात फिर पूरी हुई, फिर बाहर आई तो आए ज़लज़ला सल्ज के आने के दिन." Allah can show signs in any time, any time of the year, any season. But this Bahar has special significance for Ahmadiyyat, because I think that it is significant in the context of Ahmadiyyat's position vis-a-vis the earlier part of Islam. When there is a fall after the full bloom of vegetation, the first bloom and the first upsurge, there comes a fall and people lose hope. And then when the spring comes, it brings new hope. Although the trees are the same, the flora has not changed. Same are the grass and the branches and the trees, everything. So Allah wants to signify by this that it is not a new garden, it is the same garden of Hazrat Muhammad Mustafa Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, which has seen a sad season of fall. So a new hope will be brought to them through the spring of Ahmadiyyat. That, as I understand, is the significance. So that is a very important season of the year. So when signs are shown particularly in that season, that again proves that Ahmadiyyat is really like spring to Islam. because those signs which appear in the spring, they support Ahmadiyyat and they are in signs in favor of Ahmadiyyat. So it is further proved that it's a good omen for the rest of the people, the rest of the world. Yes, please.
Although something is bothering me for quite a considerable time.
How long?
It is maybe about 6 months or a year. It's a very fundamental question regarding Allah. So far I understand Allah is for every human being, for every religion. Whatever I have gone through the history, Islamic history or other history, I find that most of the wars, battles, cruelty, things of that kind have been committed on the name of Allah, on the name of religion. And now, at this stage even, same in one religion, Roman Catholic, Protestant, Sunni, Shia, and latest we are experiencing and the cruelty is being done on the name of Islam against enemies. If we all belong to Allah, if we all worship, maybe in different ways, different procedures, customs, as a human being, as a religion, why all this cruelty is, even at this age, being committed against the name of Allah?
In the name of Allah. First of all, kindly rectify your concept of history. I don't know where you picked up this idea that according to the history of man as such, religion has been the most important factor in perpetration of cruelties. This is not correct. Most of the wars in the history of man have never been fought in the name of religion. They have been fought for secular reasons, for political reasons, or for any other reasons, that is overtly. And sometimes they are fought covertly. That is, the true reason is not revealed, but a reason is attributed to those wars. The wars have always been secular, and most of the wars I am talking about. And sometimes they say, like the British used to say, that they are fighting for the sake of peace, while the other party is fighting for the sake of war. But some party is fighting for the sake of peace. In the name of peace, a war is fought. So in a good name, sometimes a war can be fought justifiably or unjustifiably. Maybe it is just the purported intent and not the real intent. So people have been attributing the reason for fighting wrongly and unjustifiably to religion, as they have been attributing it to peace. So those people who fight in the name of religion, it should not be, they should not be given the license that whatever they claim, that should be accepted. Why should that claim be accepted? Unless they justify the war with religious argument. This is exactly what the Holy Quran tells us. The Holy Quran tells us that even those wars, I mean, they are limited, much limited in number than the rest of the wars. As I have told you, the order of preference would be if you look at it from the point of view of numbers, in that order, the largest, biggest, widest wars were not fought in the name of religion. So to say that always the cruelty has been perpetrated upon another in the name of religion, it is